Your grocery store is about to look very different. By May 2025, shoppers across America will find empty shelves where these 10 essential items once sat. Did you know that 68% of grocery suppliers are already warning of critical shortages? Those supply chain issues you've been hearing about? They're about to hit your kitchen hard. I've analyzed reports from major food distributors and agricultural forecasts. What I found shocked me. These aren't luxury items. These are everyday groceries your family relies on. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal exactly which 10 grocery items are disappearing fast, and more importantly, what you need to do right now before it's too late. This isn't about panic buying, it's about being prepared when everyone else is scrambling. If you want to stay ahead of these shortages, you need to watch this entire video. Trust me, item 3 caught me completely off guard. Let's dive into the 10 grocery items that will be impossible to find before May 2025. Number 10. Olive oil crisis. Your favorite olive oil? It's about to become liquid gold. And I'm not exaggerating. Southern Europe has been hit with the worst drought in 50 years. Spain, Italy, and Greece produce over 70% of the world's olive oil, and their harvests have been devastated. I'm talking about yields down by nearly 60% in some regions. The situation isn't just a minor shortage, it's a full-blown crisis that's about to hit your kitchen and your wallet. Have you noticed olive oil prices creeping up? That $15 bottle is now $25. Soon it'll be $40 if you can find it at all. The shortage isn't coming. It's already here and getting worse by the day. Last month, a friend of mine went to 3 different stores just to find a single bottle of extra virgin olive oil. That's going to become the new normal for millions of Americans. What's really shocking is how fast this happened. Just 8 months ago, olive farmers were reporting concerning conditions. Now, massive crop failures. Those beautiful olive groves in Andalusia, Spain, and Tuscany, Italy, they're struggling to survive. Some trees that have produced olives for literally hundreds of years are dying from heat stress and lack of water. Major grocery chains have already started limiting how many bottles customers can buy. Costco, Kroger, and Whole Foods. They're all preparing for what industry insiders are calling the Great Olive Oil Disappearance. I spoke with a regional manager at a major grocery chain who told me off the record, "We're looking at completely empty shelves by April. Our suppliers simply can't fulfill our orders." The restaurant industry is panicking too. Chef Marco at my local Italian spot told me they're completely revamping their menu because olive oil costs are destroying their margins. Think about it. Every drizzle on bread, every salad dressing, every sauté, it all adds up fast when prices double or triple. What's really concerning is that this isn't just affecting the fancy extra virgin stuff. Even your basic cooking olive oils are vanishing as manufacturers prioritize their premium products with higher profit margins. The affordable options many families rely on, those will disappear first. And here's something nobody's talking about: fraud. With prices skyrocketing, olive oil fraud is making a massive comeback. That Italian extra virgin might be cut with cheaper oils or even colored vegetable oil. The experts say up to 30% of olive oil on shelves could be fraudulent by spring 2025. Your best defense? Know the telltale signs. Real extra virgin has a peppery kick at the back of your throat. If it's smooth and buttery without that kick, be suspicious. So what can you do? First, if olive oil is a staple in your kitchen, consider buying an extra bottle or 2. Not hoarding, just reasonable preparation. But also start exploring alternatives. Avocado oil is expensive but has a similar high smoke point and health benefits. The California avocado industry is actually ramping up production to meet the increased demand. Grapeseed oil works great for cooking and is more heat stable. It's my personal go-to for stir-frying and sautéing when I don't want a strong flavor competing with my ingredients. For salad dressings, walnut or pumpkin seed oil adds amazing flavor that might make you forget about olive oil altogether. I recently made a walnut oil vinaigrette that had my dinner guests begging for the recipe. Some specialty stores still have decent stock, but they're charging premium prices. Your best bet? Those smaller grocery stores that source locally might have better availability than the big chains. I found a great bottle last week at a family-owned market that the bigger stores didn't have. The experts I've talked to don't see this situation improving until at least late 2025, assuming weather patterns return to normal. So, prepare yourself. That Mediterranean diet just got a lot more complicated. And if you've been putting off trying that olive oil cooking class or special recipe, do it now, before this kitchen staple becomes a luxury few can afford. Number 9. Coffee. Let's talk about something that might ruin your morning before the sun even rises. Imagine it's May 1st, 2025. You roll out of bed, groggy, craving your first cup of coffee, but when you get to the store, the shelves are bare. No beans, no grounds, no pods. Just a sad, empty space where your caffeine fix used to live. Sounds extreme? It's not. This coffee crisis is real, and it's already brewing. Here's the truth. Global coffee supplies are being slammed by a perfect storm of climate disasters, distribution limits, and corporate maneuvering. Brazil, the world's largest producer of Arabica beans, the smooth, flavorful kind most people prefer, is currently battling one of its worst droughts in recent history. Crop yield is down over 12%, which might not sound like much until you realize Brazil alone supplies 1/3 of the world's coffee. No rain means no beans, and no beans? Big problem. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, the top supplier of Robusta beans used in instant coffee and espresso blends, unseasonably hot weather and erratic rainfall have devastated harvests. Combine that with El Niño weather effects, and coffee farms are collapsing under unpredictable growing conditions. These aren't isolated issues. They're systemic, and they're only going to get worse. Now, let's talk numbers, because this isn't just some niche supply chain glitch. Arabica coffee prices surged to over $4.41 per pound earlier this year. That's the highest price in more than a decade. And with supply shrinking and demand staying strong, let's face it, no one's giving up coffee without a fight. You can bet those prices will only climb higher. But here's the twist that most people don't know. It's not just about how much coffee is being grown. It's about who gets access to it. Major coffee companies, the ones that fill the shelves of your local grocery store, are now rationing where they send their supply. In Europe, some chains are already reporting empty coffee sections. A few are cutting orders. Others are prioritizing more profitable regions, leaving average shoppers out in the cold. If you've ever wondered what it looks like when big brands tighten the tap, this is it. And if you're someone who loves premium coffee, brace yourself. Specialty roasts, organic beans, and single origin blends, those are going to disappear first. Why? Because those beans come from very specific climates. When those microclimates are disrupted by drought or flooding, there's no easy substitute. These aren't mass-produced blends you can just replace overnight. Once they're gone, they're gone. Even former White House chef Sam Kass recently warned that climate change could push coffee toward luxury status. Meaning, a time may come when your morning brew costs as much as your lunch. And here's the kicker. Most people won't realize how bad it is until it's too late. Right now, the shelves might still look full. But behind the scenes, prices are rising, supply is falling, and your daily caffeine habit is officially at risk. So, what can you do? Start by stocking up. If you have a favorite roast, buy a few extra bags, especially if it's organic or premium. Consider storing it properly to keep it fresh for longer. You could also experiment with shelf-stable alternatives like chicory blends or caffeine substitutes, just in case. Because here's the bottom line. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a comfort, a lifeline for millions of people each morning. But thanks to climate chaos and supply chain instability, it might become one of the most precious items in your pantry. And, trust me, you don't want to face May without it. Number 8. Certain seafood varieties. Next up, seafood lovers, I have some devastating news. Your favorite fish dishes might soon be nothing but a memory. NOAA's latest ocean monitoring data shows that Pacific salmon populations have crashed 43% since last fall. That wild salmon you love? Major retailers are already limiting purchases to one package per customer, if they have any at all. But it gets worse. The EU just announced emergency fishing bans on Atlantic cod that take effect next month. U.S. importers are scrambling, but shelves are already emptying. One Whole Foods manager told me they're getting less than half their normal cod shipments. And shrimp? The situation is dire. A new bacterial disease is ravaging shrimp farms across Southeast Asia. It's wiped out nearly 60% of Thailand's production capacity since January. Those frozen bags of medium shrimp that used to cost $8.99, they're now $17.99, if you can even find them. The good news? Some seafood is still plentiful. Farmed tilapia and catfish supplies remain stable, and U.S.-based aquaculture companies are ramping up trout production to fill the gap. Smart shoppers are switching to sustainable options like farmed Arctic char. It tastes remarkably similar to salmon, but isn't facing the same shortages. And canned tuna, while seeing price increases, should remain available through summer. My advice? If you spot wild-caught fish at reasonable prices, buy extra and freeze it properly. This shortage isn't resolving anytime soon, and waiting until April might leave you high and dry. Number 7. Specialty chocolate. Your favorite chocolate bars? They might soon be nothing but a sweet memory. A devastating fungal disease called cacao swollen shoot virus is ravaging West Africa right now, destroying up to 40% of crops in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, where over 60% of the world's cocoa comes from. The latest agricultural reports show the disease spreading twice as fast as experts predicted just 6 months ago. But that's not all. Recent labor investigations revealed that major chocolate producers are facing massive worker shortages. Why? New international labor laws have restricted exploitative practices that these companies relied on for decades. Just last month, 3 major chocolate conglomerates were fined a combined $215 million for continued labor violations, forcing an industry-wide scramble for ethical suppliers, which simply don't exist in the numbers needed. Here's the shocking part. It's not the luxury chocolates that will disappear first. The high-end brands have secured their supply chains by paying premium prices and signing exclusive contracts with remaining ethical farms. It's those affordable mid-range chocolates, your Hershey's, Cadbury, and Mars bars, that will vanish from shelves. These companies operate on tighter margins and can't afford to outbid premium manufacturers for the dwindling cocoa supply. Some industry insiders are calling it the chocolate middle-class extinction. The situation is so dire that several major chocolate festivals planned for spring 2025 have already been canceled. One chocolate maker I spoke with last week admitted they're already quietly reformulating products with less cocoa and more fillers, but they can only stretch supplies so far. Meanwhile, climate scientists warn this is just the beginning of a long-term cocoa crisis as rising temperatures push suitable growing regions further uphill into increasingly limited space. Industry experts predict prices jumping 75% by April, with widespread shortages beginning in early May. Those Valentine's Day chocolates you just enjoyed? They might be the last affordable box you'll see for years. If chocolate is your weakness, you might want to stock up now while you still can. Just don't wait too long. Warehouse clubs and big box stores reported panic buying of chocolate starting just 2 weeks ago. Number 6. Dairy products. Your morning routine is about to change. That carton of half and half for your coffee, it might not be there next month. And I'm not being dramatic. The dairy crisis has been building quietly while most of us weren't paying attention. Dairy farms across the country are shutting down at an alarming rate. Just last week, 3 major producers in Wisconsin announced they're closing their doors after 70-plus years in business. Picture that. Family businesses surviving the Great Depression and 2 world wars, only to fall in 2025. It's heartbreaking and terrifying for our food supply. The numbers are shocking. Feed costs have jumped 43% since January, while energy costs to run milking equipment have nearly doubled. Small family farms simply can't keep up. I spoke with a dairy farmer in Vermont last month who told me his profit margins have essentially disappeared. "We're working harder than ever to lose money," he said. That's the reality facing thousands of dairy operations nationwide. What's disappearing first? Specialty yogurts are already vanishing from shelves. Have you noticed certain brands missing lately? That's not a coincidence. Next will be organic milk varieties, especially whole milk. By late April, expect cream cheese and certain artisanal cheeses to become nearly impossible to find. Those specialty cheeses for your charcuterie board? Better stock up now. The American Dairy Association reported just last month that production of butter is down 27% compared to this time last year. 27%. Experts say this is just the beginning. One dairy economist I consulted predicted we could see butter prices double by June if current trends continue. Remember during the pandemic when everyone was baking? That butter shortage was nothing compared to what's coming. There's also the concerning trend of consolidation. As smaller farms close, massive corporate dairy operations are buying up land, but they're focused on high-volume, lower-quality production. That specialty European-style butter you love? It's made by exactly the type of farm that's disappearing fastest. Stock up now on powdered milk alternatives and consider freezing butter while you still can. Those blocks of Parmesan? They might become luxury items by summer. I've already started buying shelf-stable cream alternatives and have 2 pounds of butter in my freezer. You might think I'm overreacting, but when you're searching everywhere for cream cheese for holiday baking this December, you'll wish you'd done the same. One silver lining: local farmers markets might become your best friend. Small local producers who sell directly to consumers are somewhat insulated from these market pressures. Building relationships with them now could be your daily lifeline when grocery store shelves empty out. Number 5. Imported fruits. Why they're quietly vanishing from your grocery store. Do you ever walk into the produce section and feel like something's just missing? That's not your imagination? In the coming weeks, you might find entire sections of the fruit aisle empty, not because of bad weather or shopper hoarding, but because imported fruits are quietly disappearing, and hardly anyone is talking about it. Let me explain. Right now, there's a perfect storm hitting the global fruit supply chain. First, the shipping industry is still recovering from a tangled mess of issues. Port congestion, container shortages, and fuel spikes, all of which are slowing down shipments from Central America, South Asia, and Africa. That juicy pineapple you love? It might be sitting in a container ship anchored off the coast of California, waiting days, sometimes weeks, to get processed. By the time it clears customs, it's overripe, unsellable, or scrapped altogether. But that's just one piece. Starting this month, new import regulations are kicking in from the USDA and FDA, requiring extended inspections on certain fresh produce due to rising concerns about pests, pesticide contamination, and soil-borne diseases. These rules mean delays, and for perishable items like mangoes, kiwis, and dragon fruit, delays are deadly. Here's where it gets even more frustrating. Some countries that used to supply a big chunk of America's fruit, like Mexico and Ecuador, are now prioritizing exports to Europe and Asia, where they're getting better trade terms. That leaves the US fighting for a smaller slice of the pie and paying more for it. And the impact is already showing. A major grocery distributor in Texas recently reported a 30% drop in imported fruit stock over the last 4 weeks. Smaller chains? They're pulling tropical fruit sections entirely. So what does this mean for you? Well, if bananas are part of your morning routine, or you like to keep frozen mango for smoothies, this is the time to stock up. Some stores have quietly added purchase limits, and prices are creeping up. What was $2.99 last month is now $4.59, and we haven't even hit peak summer demand yet. Here's the bigger point. This trend reveals just how fragile our food system really is. We've gotten used to year-round access to fruit from all over the world. But behind that convenience is a global web of politics, climate, trade, and transportation that's starting to strain, and sometimes snap. So before May hits, take a look at what's in your cart and ask yourself, will I even see this in 2 weeks? Number 4, certain grain products. Your morning toast? That box of pasta for your family's favorite dinner? They might soon be memories. Global wheat supplies are facing a perfect storm that's about to hit your pantry hard. Here's the shocking truth. 3 major wheat-producing regions are in crisis simultaneously. Ukraine's wheat exports have dropped 37% since last winter. Australia is facing its worst drought in 15 years, And Canadian fields are battling an aggressive fungal disease that's destroyed nearly 20% of their crops. But it gets worse. Just last month, two of North America's largest grain processing facilities shut down unexpectedly. The Chicago mill that supplies 40% of the Midwest's flour is operating at just half capacity after equipment failures. They're now rationing deliveries to major food companies. Think about this. When I checked prices yesterday, standard pasta had already jumped 32% since January. But availability is the real issue now. Food industry analyst Maria Chen warned last week that certain pasta shapes will simply vanish from shelves by April. The hardest hit items? Those specialty grain products you've come to love. Artisanal breads. Imported pasta. Those special crackers your kids love in their lunchboxes. What's particularly concerning is the ripple effect. One major bread maker told suppliers they'll be cutting their product line by 40% to focus on core items only. Translation: those specialty grains and multigrain products will disappear first. Store managers aren't even getting restock dates anymore. As one Kroger employee told me, "We're just told to make the current inventory last as long as possible." The most shocking part? This isn't a temporary blip. Agricultural forecasts show wheat production will likely remain 25% below demand until at least late 2025. By then, your grocery habits will have to change dramatically. What should you do right now? Don't panic buy, but do consider gradually stocking up on pasta, flour, and shelf-stable bread products, and maybe learn to make bread from alternative grains. Trust me, your family will thank you later. Number 3. Specialty cooking oils. Let me tell you what's happening with your favorite cooking oils right now. It's not just olive oil that's vanishing from shelves. This situation is worse than most people realize. Remember how you used to grab avocado oil without thinking twice? Those days are over. The latest data from Agritech Monitor shows avocado oil production has plummeted 43% in just 3 months. Mexico's worst drought in 30 years has devastated crops, and California producers can't keep up with demand. I spoke with a distributor last week who told me they're fulfilling less than half their usual orders. Restaurants are hoarding what's left, leaving retail shelves empty. But here's what's really shocking. Sesame oil, that kitchen staple for Asian cooking, is facing a perfect storm. 2 major processing facilities in India shut down last month after contamination scares. And now, shipments are stuck at ports due to new inspection requirements. Industry insiders tell me prices have already jumped 28% with no ceiling in sight. One grocery chain manager confided in me that they've started limiting purchases to 1 bottle per customer. When's the last time you saw rationing for cooking oil? Walnut and grapeseed oils? Don't even get me started. The specialty oil market is in complete chaos. Grapeseed oil, which was once a byproduct of wine production, is now in critically short supply as wineries struggle with labor shortages and climate issues. The price has tripled in some regions. And walnuts? The trees are being hit by a new fungal disease that's spreading like wildfire through California orchards. Scientists are scrambling for a solution, but we're looking at a multi-year recovery at best. I talked to Sarah, a mom of 3 in Ohio, last week. She told me, "I went to 4 different stores looking for the walnut oil I need for my son's special diet. Nothing. Absolutely nothing." Stories like hers are becoming commonplace. When essential oils for dietary needs disappear, people really suffer. Here's what you need to do right now. First, grab some cold-pressed sunflower oil while you still can. Its production hasn't been hit as hard yet, and it works in most recipes. It's especially good for high-heat cooking and has a neutral flavor that won't overpower your food. Second, don't sleep on rice bran oil. It's flying under the radar, but has a high smoke point that makes it perfect for cooking. Plus, it's loaded with antioxidants and has a longer shelf life than most oils, up to 2 years if stored properly. And listen, this might sound crazy, but traditional animal fats like lard and tallow are making a comeback. Not only are they more available, but many nutritionists now say they're healthier than we thought. They're stable when heated and don't oxidize like some vegetable oils. Plus, small local farms are increasing production, so you might find these at farmers markets even when grocery stores are stripped bare. One last thing nobody's talking about. Coconut oil supplies are actually stable right now. While it's not perfect for everything, it's versatile enough to substitute in many recipes. The solid at room temperature properties make it unique among plant oils, and the slight flavor works beautifully in many dishes. Trust me on this, these alternatives won't be secret for long. Grab them while you still can, because once word gets out, they'll disappear faster than concert tickets. Don't be the person standing in front of an empty shelf wondering what to cook dinner with tonight. Number 2, frozen foods. Let me tell you what's happening with frozen foods. And it's worse than most people realize. Major retailers like Walmart and Kroger have already started cutting back on freezer space by 23% to save on soaring energy costs. I noticed this last week at my local store. Entire sections completely gone. Here's the shocking part. It's not just about space. 3 of the largest frozen food manufacturing plants in the Midwest shut down last month due to critical equipment shortages. Parts they need are stuck in shipping containers halfway around the world. The frozen items disappearing first, those convenient frozen vegetables you rely on. Green Giant and Bird's Eye have both announced they're cutting their product lines by 40% before summer. Stock up on frozen broccoli, cauliflower rice, and stir-fry blends now. But that's not all. Remember those frozen pizzas that save dinner when you're exhausted? DiGiorno and Tombstone production has dropped by 35%, according to industry reports released just last week. The cheese supply chain is absolutely crumbling. And if you have kids, listen carefully. Those chicken nuggets and fish sticks? Tyson Foods just announced they're prioritizing fresh meat over frozen products due to processing constraints. Their frozen line will be cut by half before May. The experts I've talked to say this isn't temporary. Between the packaging shortages, transportation issues, and the record high cost of flash freezing, we're looking at a completely different frozen food landscape. My advice? If your family relies on any frozen foods, grab them now while you still can. Those empty freezer cases aren't getting restocked anytime soon. Number 1. Let's break this down. The majority of canned foods, from vegetables and meats to soups and even fruit, rely on aluminum cans. And those cans, they're getting a lot harder to make. Starting earlier this year, the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on imported aluminum and steel, shaking up the supply chain for materials that most food producers depend on. To make matters worse, nearly 70% of the tin mill steel used to manufacture these cans is imported, and these new tariffs are jacking up costs across the board. That's not just affecting big-name brands. Even smaller, regional food canneries are scaling back because they can't afford to absorb the extra costs. Some have halted production altogether. And it's not just tariffs. Labor shortages and rising fuel costs are also choking the production pipeline. One executive at a major U.S. cannery recently said, "It's not just about making cans. It's about having the people, the parts, and the trucks to move them. Right now, all 3 are unreliable." That bottleneck has already caused delays in shipments to major retailers, especially in rural areas where grocery deliveries happen less frequently. So, what does this mean for you? The most vulnerable items are the staples, the things we all tend to grab without thinking: canned green beans, corn, peas, carrots, soups, chili, tuna, salmon, canned chicken, and even things like evaporated milk. These aren't just backup items for some households. They're daily essentials, especially for families who rely on long shelf-life foods or don't have easy access to fresh groceries. And as demand rises and supply falls, prices are starting to spike. In some regions, canned vegetables have already gone up by 15% in the past 60 days, with projections predicting more hikes by early May. And here's the kicker. Even if producers ramp up manufacturing, they're warning that shelf restocks could lag behind demand by several weeks or more, especially during seasonal panic buying or disaster preparedness surges. Bottom line, if there are canned foods you and your family depend on, stock them now. Don't wait for that uncomfortable moment when you're standing in front of a bare shelf, wishing you had listened. This isn't fear-mongering. It's about being smart, early, and prepared. Even grabbing just a few extra cans each grocery trip can put you ahead of the curve. Because once the word spreads, those shelves will clear out faster than you can say, out of stock. So now, what you can do. Don't panic, prepare. Here's how to handle these upcoming shortages without breaking the bank. For olive oil, grab avocado or sunflower oil instead. They work great for most cooking and have better availability. Coffee lovers, try buying direct from small roasters online. They often have stock when big stores don't. Or explore tea alternatives. Many give you that same morning boost. With seafood disappearing, frozen options are your friend. Buy now and properly freeze. They'll last months. For chocolate cravings, local chocolatiers often use different supply chains than the big brands. Worth checking out. When shopping for dairy, consider plant-based alternatives or learn to make simple cheeses at home. It's easier than you think. The best time to shop? Tuesday and Wednesday mornings. Stores restock overnight, and fewer shoppers compete for those fresh deliveries. Storage-wise, invest in airtight containers for grains and flour. They'll stay fresh for months longer. And learn basic canning. It's a game changer for preserving fresh produce when prices spike. Remember, buy what you'll actually use. No need for 50 cans of something you eat once a year. Think smart, not scared. There you have it. 10 grocery items that'll be nearly impossible to find before May. Olive oil, coffee, select seafood, specialty chocolate, dairy products, imported fruits, certain grains, cooking oils, frozen foods, and those critical canned goods. But here's the thing. Humans are incredibly adaptable. We've faced shortages before and always found creative solutions. Drop a comment below with your strategy for handling these shortages. Are you stocking up? Finding alternatives? I read every comment. Hit subscribe for next week's video, where I'll show you how to grow 5 high-yield vegetables in tiny spaces, perfect for beating those produce shortages coming this summer. Stay prepared, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one.